Okay, so hello guys, my name is Mason. I am doing a video on how to do the project Bad Network in ITT 310 at Grand Canyon University. So if you guys would like to follow along or understand a potentially more in-depth description of this assignment, hopefully I can do that for you. So we're going to start off just by creating a new project. I'm going to name it something other than Bad Network because I already have my Bad Network assignment completely complete. Make sure to click empty project, and then we are going to go over to next. And then from here, I'm just going to name it bad neat work, just because why not? Make sure that they are not placed in the same directory. Uncheck this box, make sure that all is set to be good, and then create it. So from here, you should already have your multiple documents. So like your crc.8.h, your crc8.asm, and your bad network. So we are going to start off by copying and pasting your bad network.c. So go ahead and copy that real quick. Jump on over to the bad network, go over to your source file, create a new source file, just like normal, like we have been doing this entire semester. Name this bad network.c. There we go. Hallelujah. Doing great. Copy paste. So when this thing is created, it should not have error. It should not be error free. Should have this. So in order to do that, we're going to be changing some things. So we're going to go over to bad network, go over to build dependencies, build customizations. We have to make sure that MASM is activated. Otherwise, this project will not work. So activate that. And then after you have that all set up correctly, then go ahead and right click solution. This is something I did wrong multiple times before I got it right. So then you go to add, and then you click new project. After you click new project, make sure to click static library. This is very important. If you click empty project, you're not going to be creating the right thing. Click static library, click next. You're just going to name this library the CRC. You can do it caps, you can do whatever you want, but just CRC. Yeah. So create your CRC library. Create. It should take a moment. Now it's created. Go down. You don't like this stuff. Hold control, click on these, and delete them. Remove, delete, and then click delete. So now, before we do anything else, let's go over to CRC, and we are going to also build the dependencies. So build customizations, click MASM. You have to do that, otherwise it won't work quite correctly. So now what we got to do is we got to add to our header file to define what our function CRC will be. And we also have to go in and say how it will work, and that'll go into our source file. So we have a couple of those that work. I have them pre-set up. Make sure that you guys have these documents. So this will be your crc8.asm. So copy and paste that into a text document. This will be your crc8.h. Go ahead and put that into a text document. And then once you're done, make them to select all files. Like when you go to save a text file, you can save it as all files, and then it will automatically go into a header file and an ASM file. So once you have those set up, go ahead and grab those, open up. I'm going to open up another file explorer for myself real quick. And I am going to open my location of my bad network. Once I'm in my bad network, I'm going to go into my CRC. In my CRC, I want to move my other two documents. So I'm just going to drag, drop. Fantastic. I have those now. So now that I have my documents, I'm going to come back over here, go into header file, and then add existing item. And then you want it to be crc.8.h. So now your header should include your crc8.h. Same thing for your source file. Go over here, add existing item, and then in here, click on your crc8.asm. Fantastic. Your ASM file should now have the ASM dependencies. So now, if you come down here and you right-click your ASM, click Properties, it should say Microsoft Macro Assembler. If you didn't do this correctly, that means that you skipped the step of adding the dependency for the CRC, so go add the dependency, then you will be able to add the macro assembler. Click OK. And now, if you come back up here, click on Bad Network, look, now your CRC should be defined. if you've done everything correctly so far. But we're not quite done yet. If you run it, it still won't quite work. So now what we want to do is we want to come up here to references, click add reference after you right click it, and then add CRC as a reference. That's saying you want to run the CRC into the bad network. So then you want to click OK. So that way your bad network is referring the CRC, your cyclic redundancy cycle program that we have written. So now this project should run A-OK. So now I click start running. From here, it will start running. Here we go. It'll start running, incrementing by little bit by little bit. What we want to do is we only want to report when it increments by 1 because everything else are bad packets. So in order to do that, we need to use our CRC function. So over here, the GCU packet, that's the packet that changes over time. This packet right here will be changing as well. Or no, the GCU rev packet, this is just setting the memory for them. So basically all this code is going over here so that it will go to task 1, task 2, and then sleeping so that it doesn't infinitely repeat and breaking your computer super, super quickly. But it'll come over to task 1. It wants to keep track of the counter. I'm not going to explain the entire code. You guys should probably be able to figure that out as you go through it. It's pretty self-explanatory. And they also have to-dos written into the code as we go along. So in order to do the to-dos, we want to insert the CRC into the packet in and of itself. So by doing that, we're just going to click enter. So we want to do it after the packet counter comes back. So P equals packet counter equals 1. That's what we want to do. So in order to do that, we're going to do a CRC8. And then if we come back over here to our header file, this is the setup. So it's CRC8, and then it's going to be referencing the character and then data and a length. So it's basically a pointer, but we want to reference something, not point to it. So we are going to type the and symbol. And then we are going to put stuff inside of this parentheses, and then we're going to do p.counter because that's what we're trying to reference. And then we want to reference the size of the p counter. So p.counter. And so we want it to recognize when p counter is 1, print it. So we haven't called the whole thing. We need to make sure that we need to define this as p checksum so that we can use it cross-referenced. So now we have a string defined as p checksum. So we've inserted it into the p counter. So now if we come up here, we want to increment it up here as well. So now if we come down here, we need to make it so that we need to make a character so that we can define it. We're just going to type the same thing up here, CRC8, reference sign right here, p.counter. And we want to reference the size of the p counter. Just like that. So now that we have those referenced, we want to put everything inside an if statement. So if we want only to print the stuff that is 1, we want lope to equal the checksum that we entered down below. So now if we enter the lope on p checksum, now we can go ahead and take the stuff that we want, put it into the if statement, delete these, and then that's the end of our to-do. We don't want to return anything anymore. However, we want to include an else statement. Else, and then just printf, and then we're just going to say bad packet. And then I'm just going to do a couple enters, calling it good, and then I'm just going to return. So this should be the full project done. The main things that people miss are references, making sure that they add the correct solution to the library, making sure that these are set up correctly so that they're not text files, adding the dependencies to the CRC library. If you guys have any questions, I will answer them in the comments. And this is the CRC8.h. I'll scroll through this real quick slowly as well in case if you guys want it for some reason, if you're doing this outside of ITT 310. And then here is the code right here. Awesome. So now if you come back over here to bad network and we click start without debugging, this should be what the network looks like when it is running correctly. So just increments by 1. And that's all it does. And whenever it has a bad packet, it just tells us it has a bad packet, skips a couple lines, and that's it. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.